So you're telling me this is how the girls turn up? Then I'ma stick with the girls.
You better talk nice to me. I'm in your head, I invest. That's a short-term fee. Got it locked, I'm the best. Well, at least that's what I think.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Girls Social Podcast. We are your hosts. I am Taylor Kessler.
And I am McPhail.
You guys may or may not know us, but you will get to know us in this podcast. We are so excited. We are a little nervous.
A little nervy, but it's just going to be like girls' time.
It's going to be girl talk. It's going to be a great time. I'm really excited. Sydney's truly one of my best friends, and we sit and talk for hours, and we thought we might as well just be recording these conversations because we feel like other women also have these same thoughts and ideas as we do. And I honestly could listen to people talk 24/7.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like advice. And even yesterday when we were talking about this, I was like, this is perfect.
This is perfect.
We just did the podcast. Now we have to record.
Now we actually have to record it. We are a little nervous. So we're going to start this off with a shot.
Absolutely. And again, it's, it's going to be like hanging out with us. So welcome to the show.
So grab a drink, come hang out, grab a snack. I should have brought some sour strips. That really would have made this even better. But you know what? Let's start with this shot and we will get into it.
Let's go.
We have to do it this way. Okay, so we go, I'm going to take this too because I'm going to die. It's going to go Arriba, Abajo, Al Centro, and Max goes El Drinko. And then you cheers.
Cheers.
And then you tap. Okay. That hurt everything inside of me.
Loosening right up.
And on that note, if we're gonna do this right, I might as well pop some champagne while we're here.
Absolutely.
So, yeehaw, brother. You want to bring me your glass?
So if you have some champagne.
Yeah, pop a bottle. Come hang out with us. We are getting into this. So let's start off this with kind of telling people why we wanted to do a podcast in the first place.
Okay, so before we started recording, actually on the way over here, I was looking in my camera roll. The first time that this came up was September of 2022 at Joey's.
At Joey's, Joey Uptown in Houston. If none of y'all know what that is, it's a restaurant here in Houston. It's great. And it was like a date night with like our guys and us. And it was one of the first times like I think we really genuinely actually got to hang out with one another.
It really was.
And get to know each other. Well, we went to Steak 48 that one night and that was like real new into our relationship. And I was like, if you don't know, Ryan's other half is the owner of Anna Bar. And if you haven't seen him, this man is like straight, just like jacked. Like he came in with cornrows.
Yes,
he had cornrows and like a thick ass chain on to like the steakhouse. And I never met him in my entire life. And he like comes in smoking his vape, and I was like,
in Steak 48. Yeah, that's my man.
But she came in so cute, and I was like, oh my god, I love her. And I think we were both like, I think we're gonna get the espresso martinis. And I knew when we did that, I was like, I'm gonna like this girl.
Yeah, I like her already.
I love her already. But that was when we like first genuinely met, and then Joey's was more of a time where we got to really get to know one another, and it just meshed.
Grew, yeah.
We like genuinely enjoy talking to each other, and it's a good time. And I think we joked about, we're like, the guy, like everybody knows our better halves. Like if you guys don't know, my lovely fiance is Max Tuning. Fiance. He is the owner of Sour Strips and he is a YouTuber. And then Ryan had a YouTube channel, still does have a YouTube.
He has a YouTube. He posts more like shorts now.
Yeah.
But his YouTube was very niche.
Yeah.
So obviously this is the girls social, but if you have boyfriends, Ryan covered like steroid use and how to safely do it, education around that.
He's a very fitness, like I feel like he is fitness.
And he's very knowledgeable in that area. He's very open about his use of steroids.
Yeah.
So that was like his thing, but he kind of cornered himself, and we just talked about this recently because there's only so much you can talk about until you're
like, I've talked about this topic too much.
I've talked about every steroid.
Yeah. But he's also the owner of Anna Bar.
The best tasting protein bar.
Oh my God. I eat one every night.
If you, like, seriously, I know that in the industry, everyone says that the protein bars are really good, and you're like, no, they're not that good. It is a candy bar.
Yes.
With 20 grams of protein. They are so amazing.
I think I eat, is it the Monster
Cookie Crunch?
That's I eat that. That's what I eat every night as my dessert. It is literally like the best thing. I'll put them in the fridge so they get a little cold, and it's so good. But enough about our lovely other halves. Let's get into us. Sydney, okay, let's chat a little bit about who you are, where you're from, what you love, what excites you. So where were you born?
Okay, well, if we want to really get into
We're going to get into
I was
it.
technically born in West Virginia.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I never lived there. I was born there, and then we immediately, like from the hospital, moved to a small town in Ohio called Lancaster. It's actually like out of Columbus. I lived there until like middle of elementary school, and then we actually moved here to Sugar Land. And oh gosh, I guess I'm gonna have to get into the sad story.
Oh no.
But I lived here until I was 16, and then my mom passed away really unexpectedly, and my dad still lived in Ohio. So I moved back to Ohio, which is where I met Ryan, and then we were going to move. We wanted to move somewhere, and I suggested Sugar Land. So we took a trip out here and came back.
I'm so glad y'all did, because you guys are now me and Max's best friend. Y'all are kind of with us.
I think I would be insane if I didn't have
You'd be like, I have the dogs and Ryan. And I'm like,
no.
I have dude and Max.
and Tay Tay.
And Tay Tay.
Yeah.
We're all here
That's
now.
it, yeah.
But okay, so why Sugar Land? Why did you want to move back here?
Well, I always, obviously, because everything happened so quickly, like my mom passed away on a Thursday, and by Wednesday of the next week, I was living in Ohio. So it was super unexpected. And obviously, when you're 16 years old, like I was like, my friends are here, my whole life is here. And so I always kind of swore that I would move back. Like I was like, when I turn 18, and then I met Ryan. So I stayed a little longer.
You were like, I'm going to be here a little bit longer than I planned.
I'm like, okay, well, maybe Ohio is not so bad. But they were going to move to LA.
Oh
And
gosh.
I just
That's
was
just not your, that's not the vibe.
No, and it's certainly not like, you're either the Kardashians or you're not.
Or you're trying to be.
Right. And so the area that they were looking in reminded me so much of Sugar Land. And I was like, listen, I'm not moving to LA, but I will move back to Sugar Land. And we just did it.
And I think it's great too, because like if you guys don't know, Sugar Land is a little town outside of Houston. And this is where we like to say, well, Stafford, Missouri City is the mecca for fitness influencers. And it really truly has brought so many people together. I actually grew up in Sugar Land before all of this went down in the fitness world. I literally lived here growing up my entire life. And I was the opposite of you. Where like, I'm going to move back. I was like, I am never coming back to this town. And then I met Max, and my whole world changed, and I moved back home, like to this area, and now we are here forever, which I'm very excited about. But on that note, okay, speaking of fitness, what do you do, Sid?
I am an online personal trainer for women specifically. I don't coach men. We're big on community and just having a fun girl gang, and it's very balanced. I know that when you hear online fitness coach, you probably think, extreme, all of that stuff. I'm more so into helping people understand nutrition, understand fitness in a way that works into their life so that it doesn't feel overwhelming. We take it step by step. We also focus a lot on mental health, because I personally believe that if you're going to strive to be your best self, you have to focus on your mental health, and fitness and mental health go hand in hand. So we talk a lot about all of it. It's a fun time. It really, really is. Yes.
I have been trying to say that, like, I think I told you, I want to say it was Memorial Day, and you were at the pool with me, and I was like, she's literally shredded. Like, this girl has the best body. And like your shoulder caps, to be honest, like I told Max, I was like, those are my goals. I'm like, your arms are amazing.
You have no idea.
Women, if you guys are watching this and you want like a good trainer that's honestly going to be with you throughout, like Sid's great. I'm like, we don't have a sponsor for today's video, but right now we do, and it's Sydney.
It's Flourish Fitness.
It's Sid. She honestly is great. And like I feel like you do, like you make working out fun.
Well, my thing in online coaching, and I've, obviously I've learned as I've gone too, but I'm not going to ask my clients to do something that I personally wouldn't do myself.
Yeah.
And I want to have balance.
I love that.
I know that we're definitely going to get into it, but just talking about all of the like toxic stuff in the fitness industry and all of that stuff, and being, I used to compete, I did all of this stuff, and coming out of that, I was like, how can I make this something that isn't mundane, isn't like tedious?
Yeah.
And it's been really, really rewarding.
I love that.
I'm big on girl. Like,
I know. She's honestly like, I know a lot of girls, and a lot of my girlfriends are girls because we want to support each other in the circle that we are in, because we do get scrutinized a lot on social media, I feel like. And Syd is truly like the girl's girl. Like, if I have any problems or anything going on, I feel like you are definitely one of the first people I will tell. Like, I'm like, even when we do like Friendsgiving and things have just gone awry in my life, I'm like, Sydney, let me sit down and talk to you for an hour of what's happening. Yesterday, when we were planning the podcast, I was like, let's just chat about everything that just went wrong in my life in the past 2 weeks. I think Mercury's in retrograde. I don't really know. But honestly,
whatever it is, I'm not here for it.
I'm not here for it. I'm like, if you can go back to 2 weeks ago, it was great. But no, that's really cool. And I'm excited to kind of dive deeper in like the episodes coming up, more talking about our mental health. And we will hop on to that later in the podcast. But that's really cool. She also has a hidden talent that she doesn't talk about often. It's on her TikTok, but she should do it more often. And I like was blown away because I didn't know that she could do this until I saw it on her TikTok. And I was like, she popped up on my For You page and I was like, wait, is that Sydney? She is the songbird of our generation. This girl can sing and play the guitar. Like, she will give debut Taylor Swift a run for her money.
Taylor Swift. Okay, first of all, I do have the rhinestone guitar.
She'll bring it on one episode.
No, and you know, it's funny. This is the second time I've ever podcasted. I did do a podcast with Ryan and his business partner, and that came up too. They're like, "Why don't you ever talk about it?" And I don't. I'm just shy. I don't I don't want to big myself.
She doesn't boast about herself enough, and I'm like, ma'am, I'm gonna hype you up if you don't hype yourself up.
And that's why Tay's my girl.
Because she honestly, like, everything about her, like, she's just like, when you meet a good person and you see that they're genuinely, I'm like, we're gonna start crying here.
I know.
I'm like, oh God. But when you see just like a genuinely good person, it's honestly very refreshing, especially in today's age. I find that a lot of women that, like, we talked about this, like, that I become friends with, like, not recently, but like just in years past and like life and like me being in pageants, I feel like, especially in fitness in the world that we're in with influencers, like, people pit women against each other. And so to find somebody that genuinely also wants to support you, cares for you, cares about what's going on in your world, like, you have your own life, you have your own thing, and like, you are equally as excited and supported for like what I do as like you are for like all your ventures. And it's really cool to see, because that's not something you see nowadays.
It's so refreshing. I think about this all the time, but Tay, I can't tell you how thankful I am for you.
I'm gonna cry.
I'm not gonna make you cry, but everyone's
like, they're emotional.
Well,
we're cancers, by the way.
We took one shot of tequila.
She's had one shot of tequila, and here we are.
It's something that I guess at the time, you know, I think as women watching this, being here, like, you only know your experiences, and so to understand that it's not common to have people or to have just like genuine friends who want to see you win and want to see you succeed. And you just came into my life at the perfect time.
Oh, I
agree.
So
thankful. So thankful.
I am too. Honestly, like, it's really good to have somebody that is like you, just a girl's girl who's humble, who's kind, who's extremely smart. Like, you're God's gift to this earth, I have to say.
Stop it.
I'm like, love you the most.
Love you.
So I guess let's chat about me. I'm like,
yes,
I don't know. I don't know if y'all know me. I mean, because we're gonna go into like who we are right now, but like, I am Taylor Kessler. My better half is Max Tuning. I feel like that's where some of my followers have come from. If you aren't from there, then you know me through pageants. I was Miss Texas USA 2020. I was the longest reigning title holder in the history of pageants.
Woo!
2 years and a nice 5 days. I went to school for broadcasting and communications, and now I'm sitting here making a podcast, and I don't work in broadcast at all. So I really, truly brought one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast is because I miss broadcasting so much. I miss being able to talk to people. I miss having community. I miss having conversations with people and truly getting to know about them. And I just love talking, genuinely. That's who I am as a person. I could talk to a wall for hours. And honestly, I think with this podcast, I think it's going to be really refreshing, because I think we're not afraid to talk about certain topics. We're going to dive deep into a lot of things, and we have a lot to say. And that's like the number one thing when the guys were like, well, why do you want to start this podcast? I'm like, we have so much to say. And
so much.
And I think it's important too, to have our voices heard as well.
That, and just like, one of the things with social media and even like this podcast is even if we can help one person, like that means the world to me. And I know it does to you.
Oh yeah. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I mean, it would be amazing if we could have millions of listeners and we can help millions of women feel confident and understand themselves and like kind of dive deeper into who they are and why they do certain things. But truthfully, like, as long as I have one person and I've impacted one person, that's all I care about. I'm
Absolutely.
like, even if it's my mom who's listening to this or my sister, I'm like, if I impacted you, great. Like, I love that for us. We did our job.
Yeah. And okay, can we just get into, I want to get back to you, but the perfectionism side of things and like just the fact that we're just going for this.
Oh, I know. Okay, let me say, I love my fiance, your boyfriend. Soon
eventually.
To be. One day.
Eventually.
Technically, at this point, I think they're married, like common law.
Yeah.
At this point, something like that. But they were like, guys, like, are you sure? Do you want, I mean, they are the most supportive men in the world. Max is like listening to this and like, Taylor, are you kidding me? Yes, you are the most supportive man in my life. But he is very realistic. And I do love that because it does bring you down to earth. And he's like, it's not easy. Like, you have to stick to it. It's not going to always be fun. Like, it is work. And like, yes, this is work for us, but it's more fun for us. Like, we get to sit and talk and have our conversation and like catch up, which I love. But they were very skeptical. They were like, you guys have been talking about this since September of 2022.
Yes.
Yeah. So since a year ago, over a year ago.
And realistically, when we decided like, okay, we're going to do this, it was like, what was it? 3 weeks ago?
3 weeks ago. Yeah. And like, we've been a little busy. I travel a lot. So it's my schedule's a lot harder to kind of like manhandle me and get me down.
Right.
Because I am constantly traveling. But they were very skeptical about the whole situation. And we're like, let's make sure that like you guys want to do this. Because we were really, guys, if this doesn't show you how determined we were ready to buy a set. We were buying a sign. We were buying lights and we were going to buy cameras and tripods. We were going to do the whole thing. And they were like, you girls should sit down and film 3 episodes first and decide if you like that. And I honestly think that they thought we were going to fizzle out in the first 2 weeks that we actually kept talking about it. But then I ordered our nameplates and I created a logo and I was like, we're not joking about this. I now have our Instagram, our social pages are already up. All of the things are done. So I was like, we're getting this done. But we were really nervous to start this because I don't know about you, but I'm very much a type A person and I'm very much a perfectionist. It's just who I am. It's in my genes. I've always been this way, whether it be with sports or pageants or just school and my life in general. I feel like I stress myself out and I put a lot of stress on myself to be a certain way. And I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it right. I want to do it well.
To the extreme for me that like I want it to be perfect. Like,
yeah.
I want this to be like current day call her daddy.
Yes.
And like we've never done this before.
No, and we will get into those topics and I think it will be fun and it's definitely going to be, so Sid and I are very like introverted extroverts.
Yeah.
Like we don't really open up about like that kind of stuff, but I think it will be fun to talk about and like talk about things that people go through. But I was really like, I was nervous getting into this first episode because I was like, what if we just like have awkward pauses? What if we don't know what to say? But honestly, I think right now, guys, it's going pretty well for us. I have to say.
We're thriving.
I feel like it's really different because I'm so used to like talking to like people in an audience where it's like you and I'm just like,
yeah, that's
it's like
true.
a normal conversation.
I think that's the misconception with podcasting too, is that like we're literally just sitting and
Chatting.
talking. Yeah, like we would be doing this anyways. So.
Anywho, like we would literally just be sitting, like if we were together, it's normally like Ryan and Max are talking about like Anna Bar Sourstrip's work. And then it's like Sid and I just talking about life in general and like things that are going on with us and what's important to us and all those fun things. And we thought like, you know, we have a lot of deep conversations that I think would be great for people to listen to. And so that's kind of really why we wanted to get into it. And like, we wanted our own platform. And like, I feel like it's really fun to have something that's like of our own. Cause like we are extremely supportive dating entrepreneurs. Cause it does take, I feel like this is a topic that we'll talk about right now. And like, I feel like it takes a lot to date an entrepreneur because it isn't easy. It's not all highs. I feel like you guys see through social media a lot of highs, but like there are some lows because there is a lot of pressure on them. Like they are I mean, Ryan has like his partner, which is great, but like Max, he has his team, but like it's a lot of stress on our partners and like how that relates to us is like it puts stress on us because like we are there to listen to our partners, to hear our partners out, to see everything.
Oh my God, yeah. And especially like you know, obviously we see the good stuff, we see the wins, but we also see the really like the ugly side of being,
sides of things.
And I think, at least for me, one of the things, I'm a fixer. I want to fix everything
way.
for you. I want everything to be perfect. And sometimes you can't when and that can be overwhelming, and just navigating all of it, you know, being patient, understanding that like a win for them is a win for us, and the work that goes into it.
1,000%. I feel like the number one thing, and like Max and I had talked about, and he's like, what I love most that you do is that you listen to me, and like I feel like I am the voice of reason at sometimes for him, where I'm like, okay, I understand like how you feel, but like, have you ever thought about this? And like, we talk about certain situations where I'm like, I am always going to be on your side, and I will always support him 24/7, 100,000% throughout the rest of our lives. But I'm like, sometimes it's always great to kind of remind them and make them take a step back from like the big picture, or like from like this one little thing, and like look at the big picture of it all. And
exactly.
It's hard. It's hard.
One of my favorite things to say to Ryan is, you know, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
You know, I realize it's a problem, but it's a good problem
It's
to
like,
have.
at least you have the problem.
Yes.
And like, it will be solved. It will be fixed, and we will handle it. And I mean, that's truly how we met, was our other halves. And that's how we become friends, which is even better. But let's talk a little bit more about this perfectionism thing that we kind of talked about, and like how that affects us mentally in the world that we're in. And I feel like this is a very good topic too, with like social media and everything going on, because I feel like a lot of listeners will understand, like with social media, that is a highlight reel. And like one thing about Sydney that we are completely different on is like, Sydney used to be very social on social media.
And I will get back to it.
You will.
So
you took time off, and that was fine.
I come from the perspective of, to be 100% honest, it came back to my mental health, and cheers.
Cheers. I'm like, cheers on this one.
I was struggling, and the first thing that I knew to go to was, okay, social media. This is toxic. I'm in a bad headspace. I don't want to look at social media and compare myself to those things. And I also fell into the trap of only posting the good stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to make sure that the life I'm truly living is a good one before I get back to social media. So this year has been a complete hiatus. It's bad.
But that's fine. I think it takes that time. I remember like after I gave up my title of Miss Texas, I think I took a social, because when you are like a title holder, like you're constantly in the public, you're technically a public figure. And I was having to post like my life and everything that was going on 24/7, and like sharing my life with the world. And I felt like at that point, like I had no life that was just mine. I felt like it was shared with everyone. And I felt like, because yes, when I was Miss Texas, one of the things I talked about was like the strength and vulnerability. I was like, there's so much strength in being vulnerable with people. And I think it's important for people to know, like, you do have bad times. You do have these moments where it is harder and tougher to kind of go through the days, and you have doubt, and you have these little monsters in your mind that make you feel a certain way. And so when I gave up my title, I think there was like a few months, honestly, like 3 or 4 months, that I just really didn't post. I didn't talk a lot. I was like, what's my life is my life. And I had gone through a lot. Like when I gave up my title, I went through a breakup. I went through like trying to find out where I wanted to live, what I wanted to do, who I wanted to be. And I was like leaving everything behind in this chapter that I had strived so hard to be. Like my entire life goal was to be Miss Texas and to be Miss USA and Miss Universe. And like, once you give up that title, I was like, what's next? And like that fear truly like ate me alive. And I was like, I don't know what's next, because I only know myself as like Taylor Kessler, the pageant girl, Taylor Kessler, Miss Texas. Like it took a lot for me to kind of find out who I wanted to be and like what I wanted to do. And I like left sports, and I left everything I wanted to do in my life. And I'm truly thankful for it, because I got closer to myself, and I got closer in faith and to God at that time. And that was truly like, I mean, I always believed in God. I always had like a relationship with God, but like in those moments, I remember having conversations at those times being like, what am I to do? Like, what do I do with myself? And I fully let go of everything that I had planned for myself. And God truly like showed me the way. And like, he brought like me and Heidi got really close, and like me and Mona got really close. And then I started dating Max, and Max became my best friend. And then it brought me to you. And then I was starting these careers in social media, doing people's Instagrams. And I started like talking more on my social media and talking about faith and talking about who I am, and like talking about the good times, talking about the bad times, like letting people know that it's okay not to have like a perfect day, because like what you see is like only 10 or maybe 20% of what really goes on in our lives. And like I feel like there is a lot of pressure on us, like through social media and like honestly our relationships too. Like people put a lot of pressure on us
to be a certain way. And I want to go back to, because you said that you were kind of trying to like figure out who you were. It is so hard to figure out who you are when you're on social media.
Oh yeah, because I feel like I'm looking at everybody else. I'm like, okay, this is who she is, and this is what she is.
This, yeah.
Yeah, and I like keep picking things from other people that I was like, okay, maybe this is what I need to do. This is what's gonna make me happy, and none of it made me happy.
No.
Like I was not happy. Like I tell Max all the time too. It's, oh my God, I'm gonna get into this like just such sappy drama. Like I told Max, I was like, you truly saved me from like a bigger thing that I was battling. Like he genuinely made me take a step outside of all the chaos that was going on in my mind, and like made me happy. And like I started to love myself before I dated Max, because the one thing I realized I needed to do is that I always gave love to other people, but I never gave love to myself. And,
Preach it, girl. Preach it.
I always was, I'm like, one of the things I talk about is that you can never fill somebody else's cup from an empty cup. And I never like, especially when I was Miss Texas, like I gave so much to the people around me that I was like, I was exhausted, because I was my first year of Miss Texas, I was still a college student. I was a full-time, like I was fully employed. Like then we went into COVID and I was still a title holder. I was constantly like doing stuff with my platform, which was domestic violence, sexual assault awareness, but I also worked with a ton of organizations with children with disabilities. And so I was like, I was dying on the inside, and like I felt like I was like feeding everybody else, but I wasn't feeding myself. And I just had a lot of mental health problems, especially during COVID. And like there was so much that was going on, I feel like too, at that time, that I was like, I have to be perfect. I have to make sure everything looks good. And like we're technically supposed to be like diplomatic, and we're supposed to have opinions on certain things that were going on in the world during COVID. And like I decided to be Miss Texas during a freaking literal global pandemic and lockdown. And not only that, an election, which was so much drama in the pageant world, and it shouldn't have been, like it honestly shouldn't have been drama at all, but it definitely put a lot on me. So I was like, I lost all sense of who I was. And it took a lot to get me back to where I was. And so I'm really happy that we're doing this, because this is deep down in my root is like the thing I love most is like talking and connecting to people and like making people feel better. Like my goal when I was in Texas is like, I want to just make people feel good.
Just help people.
Yeah, I want people to realize their self-worth, because it takes a lot.
And I think that when you're struggling with something like your mental health or your self-worth and self-love, you think that you're alone.
Yeah.
Like everyone else has it figured out, but it's just me. And that's so not true.
Yeah. 1,000%. I feel like I used to look at like people that I was friends with, and I'm like, they have their whole life together. Like I was like, they're thriving. And then like I get with them and we go to dinner, and like we're like, have you ever seen Ted Lasso?
I've seen like one episode.
You should. Okay, so watch it. And there's like a part where he talks about like where him and his wife like did this thing, and then they ended up getting a divorce. But like the coach, not the coach, well, Ted Lasso is the coach. The owner of the team was like, are you okay? Like talking about something. It's like the third season. And she's like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, like I'm fine, coach. Like I'm just busy. And she's like, Oklahoma. And that was his word that he would use to like be raw and real. And I loved that, because I was like, oh, like put your walls down, like be honest, like with yourself and with the people you're with that love you, that are here to support you, and like talk it through. Talk to people. Listen, like if you're going through something, you're not alone. That's the number one thing. Like you are not alone. There are people that are also dealing with this, like that you are dealing with. And like, think about it. At this point, like when you are in the valley, like there are higher places you can get. And like, this is just the starting point for where you're going to be.
Well, and like the only place to go is up when you hit rock bottom. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, Sydney, just dropping knowledge on all of us today.
Cheesy.
Cheesy, but we love it.
But it is true.
It is true. And I think we were really stressed. And like, I still am a little stressed with this podcast. And like, we're like, is it worth listening to? Is it like worth us doing it? No, but it's genuinely bringing us joy. And I think it's going to bring us closer together too. And like, we've been wanting to do this for so long. And it's like, why not? and here, let's talk about this, is like people taking chances. Because I feel like people are so scared. And I can tell you, I was scared to do a lot of things for so long. And I think it's so important to genuinely just go after what you want to do.
Well, and I think that both of us, like, we have seen a small bit of those rewards of like taking, like betting on yourself or taking a chance. Like for you, didn't you compete in Miss Texas? Like you entered a week before and you won?
So yes, I've competed before I won, I competed for 8 years.
Okay.
And I competed at Texas Teen, and then I took some time off when I got to college. Then I won a different title for a different system and competed internationally. And then I was like, I'm done competing for a while. I'm so young. And then a couple years later, I got in a car accident and I broke my back. And my goal was just to walk on the stage of Miss Texas and like get back to that point, because that's genuinely what made me happy and what fueled me at that time. And like, I think it was like 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks before the pageant, my doctor was like, like, I'll allow you to do it. Cause I literally, guys, I was in a back brace for like 8 months. And you
still have the handicap thing.
I do have the handicap placard.
My girl.
I'm like, I had the handicap placard. I literally was in a back brace with like a metal bar up to my chin. Like if you've ever seen House Bunny, that was me. And I was really embarrassed, and I lost a lot of like who I was. And like, I was like, why did this happen to me? Mm-hmm. And like, I think it truly was like God, like been like, you need to slow down. Cause like at that time I was in college, I was in a sorority. I was about to go to Miami to go sign to an agency that I always wanted to sign to. And I was like, getting ready to compete for Miss Texas, and I want to do all these things. And then I quite literally like God was like, ha, you saw it, snapped my back in like 2 different places. And I had a back brace. And then my doctor was like, you can compete, but you have to take it extremely slow. And I honestly thank God that I won when I did, because I feel like I didn't have time to like really work on my body. Like I was a lot skinnier than I've ever been, but that's because I only could walk. And I had to literally carry around a 10-pound back brace with me. So I was quite literally carrying around 10 pounds and walking, and I'd walk like 3-4 miles a day, because that's all I could do, because working out truly became like a part of like my therapy. And like that's I grew up being an athlete, so I loved working out, I loved being active, and the only way that I could do that and manage that was walking. And I did get very lean. I was in shape when I won, but I was very skinny, and I'm not like I wasn't like my normal size. But it made me have to focus on my mental health a lot, because I was like, I had to go through such challenging times. Like not only did I break my back, then my dad broke his back literally a month later. And so I had to help them with that. And then my mom got sepsis and like literally almost died. And so I was like, this was like all 3 months leading up to Miss Texas. Like I wasn't even planning to compete yet. And then I got the okay to do it, and I decided to compete. And then I was like, goal top 15, top 5, that'd be lovely. Love that for me.
Won.
And then she winning. Won. And then I ended up winning, and I was like, like just tears running down my face. And I'm like, it all was meant to happen for a reason. I think I had to go through these struggles to get to my end all goal of my life. But yeah, honestly, like it took a lot out of me, but honestly, I learned a lot about my mental strength and what I was able to conquer.
Which is so important. I think in order to be successful, just like, and I'm not saying you have to have like really, really crazy stuff happen to you, but once you understand how strong you are mentally, you really can do anything.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
It's so much more of a mental, like, I feel like all obstacles are more mental than they are physical at this point. And it's really crazy to see like what we are capable of. And like, I used to be somebody that like, I used to let fear get in the way of everything I wanted to do. And I was like, when I was like signing to an agency, or when I always wanted to do a YouTube channel. I always wanted to be like, do social media and do all of these things. And like, I was so nervous. I was like, they're not going to like, an agency's not going to want me. Like, I'm not skinny enough. I'm always like an athletic build. Like I'm not tall enough. I mean, I'm 5'9", but I'm not tall enough. And I like kept putting these little thoughts in my head, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then like, even with Miss Texas, I was like, well, there's like this girl, and she's a chemical engineer, and this girl works at NASA, and she's like the first like command pilot. Like she's extremely smart. Like these girls are like lawyers and doctors. And I was like, how can I compete with that? How do you compare with that? And I was like, I had to learn that like I am good on my own to be able to move forward. I'm like, my favorite thing my mom has taught me is like, There will always be somebody prettier than you. There will always be somebody smarter than you. And there will always be somebody funnier than you. But there will never be another version of you.
That right there. I want to meet your mom.
She's an icon. We should have her on
yes.
She will drop knowledge. That woman has been through so much. Like, she has lived a million lives.
I'm in love with her and I've never met her. Like,
I love her every day.
Oh my gosh, because that's such good advice. And I feel like we get caught up in that comparison game, which is miserable. But it really is true. And that's something with like social media for myself, especially this year, because now that I've kind of gotten through it, I'm like, well, how do I get back into it?
You just do the thing. Just do it.
But it's kind of that like, well, what do I have to offer that's not already out there? But
Sydney,
like you're your own, you know, like you are one of one.
Yeah, you are your own person. And like the thing is, like, remember, like how we said, like, it doesn't matter if we're influencing a million people. As long as I'm making one person's day, that's all that matters. And I think a lot of people can learn from you because I think you have so much mental strength and like you competed in like, would it be fit? What would it be? Like
bodybuilding?
Was it body?
NPC. It was NPC, yeah.
Okay. I don't know that much about bodybuilding and we'll get into that one day.
I want to do like a bodybuilding pageant thing because
we'll have Heidi on too.
Yes. But I remember when I was in prep, everyone thought I was doing a pageant and I was like, I don't know what prep for a pageant is like, but like, I don't know how to do a pageant. So I'm really, really interested in hearing all about it.
It's grueling.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
So you did bodybuilding, which I feel like in its own sense is like obviously similar to pageants, but the mental strength that it takes because like you're getting judged, like we do get judged on our body, but and like our beauty, but like we at least get judged on our brain and like what we do for the world, where like y'all are strictly getting judged on the way that you look.
We don't get to speak.
Yeah, you guys don't get to speak at all. Like they don't get to know who you are. And they're literally judging your body. And then not only that, but like I know how hard it was like being Miss Texas and trying to eat healthy and like stay on a routine, like getting ready for Miss USA. And I'm like on a strict diet and I'm working out 3 times a week and like basically starving myself to get to this way. And like it's only worse for bodybuilders. Like, tell me how you got through that. Like, what was like,
oh my gosh.
Like, let's chat about this. Cause we talked about it a little bit where Ryan was like, you were a shell of yourself. Like,
he hated it. He absolutely hated it. Yeah. And my prep was super long. And I was fortunate that like fitness has really, really blown up now. Like everyone competes, everyone does that. When I competed in 2018, my prep was 26 weeks. So it was a really, really long time. And you know, when I think back on it, I don't even know that there's like one thing that I'm like, oh, like this got me through it. I just did it. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. There were nights that like I was miserable, lots of tears. I was also in school at the time, but I think I know for a fact that looking back at that is the reason for like being successful now, because you really do. And I tell that to all of my clients. It's like, if you can do this, you can do anything.
Yeah.
It's that like mental, that resilience. But I was young. I really, really don't know. And I will say that like every single person in my life was like, why are you doing this? Like,
why did you do it?
I had just gotten into fitness. I think, so for me, my growing up was a little bit different in that like I played softball, but I wasn't really into like sports. I wasn't athletic. I really wasn't into anything.
Yeah.
So
you liked music.
I did. I loved music, but like I wasn't ever into athletics. I'm honestly not coordinated. So the reason I got into fitness from the beginning was because I started college and I gained weight. Like I was drinking a little bit more. It's just all of that fun stuff.
It happens.
Yeah. And so I had a moment of like, okay, I just want to like lose weight and be healthy, which kind of spiraled. And I started going to the gym and I met Ryan, and he owned a supplement store. So it just kind of spiraled into this like, okay, I'm like in fitness now.
Yeah.
And then I met Remington, who was doing his YouTube. And I think I just like out of nowhere was just like, I'm going to compete. I messaged back and forth with a coach and he basically was like, let's get started. And I don't know. I just did it. Like I was like, okay, let's see. And it was the most fun thing ever. I don't know that I would do it again. Just because there were a lot of negative things after.
Yeah.
Like coming out of a competition and kind of adjusting to the real world, adjusting to having balance. Like all I knew was like weigh every single gram of your food. Don't go out to eat. Like everything has to be perfectly structured. And then all of a sudden coming, and I think that if you talk to a competitor, they'll tell you like post-show is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Because you come out of having so much structure and knowing exactly like to a T everything. And then all of a sudden it's just like, now what? Kind of like what you said.
Like
it's just
what's
like,
next?
yeah, what do I do
once you're
now?
done, you're like, what do I do now?
Right. And like you work so hard to get so lean and it's not sustainable. Like you cannot keep that body.
You cannot look like that 24/7.
Right. And your body is so like sensitive to gaining weight. So you gain weight really, really quickly. And that's especially as a woman, like you're like, oh, I'm huge. And you're not, you're just healthy.
Yeah. I deal with I've literally, I don't think Max takes me seriously when I talk about it, but like I genuinely like, I'm diagnosed with body dysmorphia, like because of pageants and like because of modeling, like when
I can't imagine.
Like, I mean, freaking being a bodybuilder is harder than being like a pageant. Like as long as you're skinny and like lean a little bit, then they don't care.
No, but modeling, you're literally like for your job, you have to
be,
like,
I have to be a certain weight.
Yeah.
Like I have to like, I even told Max, like, I'm terrified to have a baby. And like, I've had this conversation with my girlfriend who is like, was a professional dancer, like cheered for the like Texans and was with the Rockets and like she's literally one of the best dancers in the world. And she just had a baby and she's like, Taylor, I was like, how do you handle it? Cause we used to like talk about it all the time. Like we were like, we kind of fueled each other's like eating disorders, but like
we'll get into all that.
We'll get into that.
We definitely.
But like we fueled each other where it came to like being like a certain size. Cause I was like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm the same size that I was when I was 18 years old. I'm 27. That's not normal at all. Like I'm the same exact size.
Yeah.
If not a little smaller. Like, because in my mental state, like I was like, I have to maintain this amount of size. Like I have to be this size.
And for like I said, like for you, it's literally like you can't model if I don't know anything about it, but
and it's I mean, you do like my agency wants me to obviously look a certain way. And like, that's just kind of the name of the game that we ask for like in this world. And like, they've done a lot better, like not my agency, but like modeling in general, I feel like to kind of open up to people being like an athletic build. Like I get a lot more jobs now because like they're okay with me like having
being a little muscular.
Yeah, being a little bit muscular. But like I remember when I first was doing it, they were like, you're a little too muscular. Cause like even when I started competing in pageants, like I was standing next to girls that were like stick thin and I was literally like, I played sports all throughout high school. I was literally leaving volleyball practice to come to this. Like I was built. Mama had legs. She had some legs because I could jump. I had a 38-inch vertical. I was a jumper. And I like had just like these big thighs and these big calves. And I just remember looking at myself at like 16 and being like, oh my God, I'm fat.
Which is so horrible. And I can't imagine being 16 now.
I had 5% body fat. Like I was literally so shredded, but I was like, oh my God, I was so fat. And I like look back at photos of myself now and I was like, I was like fit and I was healthy.
Yes,
I was a kid.
I
was a kid.
You look healthy.
I was healthy. And I remember like just seeing myself and being like if I'm going to stand next to this girl, like I need to be skinnier. Cause it was like when I did prelim pageants, there was one girl that like I always stood next to and we were complete opposites. She was like a 5'4" blonde and she was like super, super skinny. And then I'm a 5'9" brunette that's like a volleyball player that's like, as a teenager, like obviously like it's different. Like I shouldn't have been worrying about this, but like it was in my head because of the world that I was in that I had to be like this little shredded, like little tiny little Barbie. And I was like, I'm not that at all. And like, I would always go back to like having to stand next to her and be like, how do I compete with this? And like, I mean, I did really well in pageants, but I think it wasn't so much like how I looked. I think it was more the way I spoke. Because I've always been this way. Like I love like my favorite part of pageants is interview. Like I just like speaking to people and getting to know people and it's just a conversation. And if I can make somebody laugh, that's my favorite thing. And if I can make somebody cry, even better.
Oh,
not in that way.
No.
I'm like this leaf keeps hitting my head and I'm like, oh God, what is behind my head? It's a leaf. But no, I like sharing my story with people. Like I like being able to move people. And that's what I mean by making people cry.
I can agree with that. And definitely, like, nothing makes my self-esteem higher than making someone laugh. Like,
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
oh, I'm hilarious.
I'm so funny.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons why we want to start a podcast, because we're like, we're so funny.
Yeah, so if we make you laugh at all, please tell us.
Please let us know if we made you giggle at any point of this conversation. Everyone's gonna be like, y'all are just emotional and gabbing on about emotions this whole entire time. I'm like, I don't even know how long we've been doing this. I feel like it hasn't been that long.
I don't know when we started.
I don't know either, honestly, guys, but we're just going to keep chit-chatting with each other.
Yeah.
We are going to do an advice column.
Yes.
Do you want to get into this? Okay. Do you have some?
I was just making sure. We've talked about how before we
jump into this?
Yeah. Just because
Okay.
I feel like I have an interesting perspective on Taylor coming into Max, like you guys meeting and
Oh
stuff.
God. Yeah. Let's chat.
Because so Ryan and Max were friends before.
They would always, okay. So Max would always tell me when we first started talking and going to like on dates with each other, like this is like really before it got all serious.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if Ryan told you this, because Max told me this, and Max was like, oh, like I have to go to dinner with a friend. And I was like, a friend? Okay. I was like, who? And he's like, Ryan. And I was like, okay. Like, he's like, yeah, we get Mexican food. And they'd be like, go get Mexican food for like hours.
And talk business.
Yeah. But like, this is like before I knew Ryan though. Like this is before I knew he knew Anabar. Like Max would like say like, and I'd be like, oh, like I haven't heard from Max. Like it's like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. And I hadn't heard
Just
from him.
like MIA gone.
Like he would text me at like 5 or 6 after he went to the gym, and he'd go get dinner with Ryan, and I'd never hear from him.
Yep.
He'd text me and be
Lupe
like,
has the worst service in there. So
they don't respond.
Yeah.
But they don't pull out their phones either. Like those two men are in love with each other.
Absolutely.
Like they're best friends.
Like I can say that like Ryan adores Max. There was even a point where he was like, every time we go to dinner, it turns into like business, and I don't want him to think that I'm like abusing the friendship, and I just want to make sure. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure he likes it, but I don't know. And then we met, and you were like, he loves it.
He loves it because it's like one of the only people who really genuinely can sit down and talk business with, and like Ryan understands it. And like what's crazy about Anabar is like Anabar is kind of at the same like trajectory of where Sour Strips is going. Like y'all are a couple years younger than us, obviously, with this whole situation. I mean, like us with Sour Strips, not me at all. I have nothing to do with Sour Strips. The fact that I make the owner happy. But like he has the same trajectory, like everything that like Ryan is doing, Max has gone through. And I think Max likes it because Max can talk business with him, and like they understand it. Where like he talks business to me and I'm like, I understand it, but only so much.
Right. Exactly. I'll be like,
there's
I
a point
don't
where
know.
it goes over my head.
Uh-huh.
I'm
like, could you repeat that?
I was like, can you explain this to me? Like I am a golden doodle. 'Cause
Yes.
I don't know what you're saying to me right now.
Explain it to me like I'm a child, please.
Thank you. But okay, so
But no, so I remember, first of all, the Halloween party.
Anaka.
Yes, I was there, but obviously just in a completely different
And
world.
I was in a completely different world.
Right, because I remember Ryan and I took a shot with Max, and I think you were standing, I know Mona was standing there.
Oh, I definitely was there because Mona and I, like at that point, were like hip to hip best friends.
Okay, so, and like that happened, and then I think it was like Thanksgiving time. It was right after Thanksgiving.
Oh, we did Friendsgiving.
And
But that was before I met y'all.
Right. No, so it was, I had gone home and I drove. So I was driving back from Ohio, and Ryan and I talked on the phone the whole time. And he was like, Max met someone. And I'm like, shut up. Who is it? And he's like, I don't remember her name, but like she won Miss Texas. And of course, being a girl, I feel like everyone can relate to this. I was like, say no more. I will find her. Like
And he like was like, I think she has this many followers.
Yeah.
She literally found me. I thought I was good at stalking. Sydney found me immediately.
One thing about me is I will find it. I will find it on social media. And the thing is, we were both just so excited. Like we were so happy. And then I was so nervous because like I had known all of like the behind the scenes of what Max had told Ryan. And then he's like, hey, do you want to go to dinner and meet her? And I'm like, oh God. Oh
You're
my
like,
God.
are you sure?
What if she hates me? And here we are.
Oh, here we are. No, I can't say I'd ever hate anybody.
No.
But I was like really obviously nervous because like I feel like y'all were some of the first friends of Max's that I was meeting. And like I knew Ryan was this guy that Max went to dinner with. But when
He's so scary.
When I tell you, I did not search this man. I did not know what this man looked like. I was like, when Max was like, oh, he's the owner of a company, I was thinking clean cut JFK style man. And if you guys go, I'm like, Max, I'm going to ask you to edit this. Pop up a picture of Ryan for me. When he was full braided out, please throw a photo of this man up here.
You know what to do.
I'm like, when this man walked in, I was like, huh? And then like Sydney, this like hot blonde. She had like long, I mean, she still does long blonde hair. Yeah. It's up right now, but she's got these long blonde locks. And I'm just like, I think you were wearing like leather pants.
That sounds like me.
I think they were brown leather pants and it was chilly. It was chilly out because I remember Ryan was wearing like a long sleeve, like super tight shirt.
And I remember us walking from Steak 40, we went to a bar and met your friends.
Oh yeah.
And I was wearing stilettos and I was like,
wearing heels too. Oh my God. Yeah. We dragged y'all out. I dragged y'all to the bars.
It was so fun.
I'm so sorry.
No, but it was so much fun. I think once like for that situation in that scenario, I was like, okay. Like,
yeah.
I've got this.
Yeah. It was easy. But like, I remember telling Max because it was my girlfriend Shelby's birthday.
Yes.
And Shelby's one of my ride or dies. Like she's the funniest person, but they had been out day drinking all day. And I was like, Max, like we don't have to, but like I want to go see Shelby. Like let's go see her for a drink and then like we can leave. And like we get to the bar. All of my old friends are like just hammered. And I'm like,
oh my gosh, we went to 2 bars.
We went to Drift in the Heights, which I love Drift.
That's the outdoor one.
Yeah,
right?
that was the outdoor one. And then we went to McIntyre's. And McIntyre's was a mess. McIntyre's is always a mess. A good time, but always a mess.
It was a good time. But I do remember everyone being really, really drunk.
And everyone was hammered. And I was just like, I'm so sorry, guys. I promise I don't go out with these people all the time. This is literally a special occasion. I am not a little partier. I was really nervous after that.
No, it was such a good time. And literally, I feel like just the way that everything has like built and like unfolded has been perfect.
Oh, I agree. Like truly, like we do everything together. Like Sid quite literally helped me plan the Halloween party that ended up being our engagement party. And she like came over and was drawing like little smiley faces, like little ghost faces on these little shots that we were doing that nobody drank. Except I think you and I.
Yeah, some shots were taken, but I saw them in the bar area.
Yeah,
all the shooters.
They're all there. We'll use them next year.
You're just such a good party planner that I was like, how can I help? Like,
oh,
please let me help.
We've done so many events together. Like Friendsgiving the year before was quite literally the first year I did Friendsgiving was a literal shit show. Everyone got drunk. Everyone burned food. We almost lit the house on fire. Like shit just went down. And I was like, you know what? This year I'm not doing jack shit. I'm going to hire a hibachi guy. Decided to do that inside my house. Guys, we set off the smoke alarms. My Christmas tree
almost went up
in flames. I would have been destroyed. I would have been like, everybody go, leave.
I was looking at the video of me throwing the egg, just flying through the air.
Oh my God. It literally took me months to get rid of that smell in the house. I think the tree still smells like Chinese food.
To this day, I've never seen anything like that to this day. But the Friendsgiving we just did was so fun.
Yeah, the Friendsgiving we did was great. Then we decided, before that, we decided to do a pizza party and cookies, and we were gonna carve pumpkins, but something happened to Sid and I where we should not be trusted.
We were unwell,
and it was not like we were unwell in a way that like we were actually unwell. Like we just were not okay to like cook and do things. Then we quite literally, the pizza brick that had her pizza on broke in half in the middle of the oven. I don't know how that happens. So Max was not happy about that one. And then, because I think his mom bought that for him. Sorry, Deborah.
I know. I was on Amazon like trying to find.
I was like, sorry, Deborah. Then the pizzas didn't cook fully, which was just a mess. So we ended up ordering Domino's. Then I was like, you know what? Let's cook cookies because we can't mess this one up. And I'm a really good baker. Like I bake well.
Oh, she can cook.
I can cook and bake. Don't get me wrong, but
it was the it was the broil.
They weren't cooking fast enough, and I was like, I'm just gonna throw it on broil. Sister forgot that she threw it on broil,
and remember they tasted like fish.
They tasted like fish. How? I don't know.
But she redeemed herself because she made cookies at Friendsgiving, and they were amazing.
I made like from scratch cookies for Friendsgiving, and it was so fun. It was so good. And then we did a gingerbread house recently.
Mine still stands. Yours was the best. You won.
Except for the fact that it completely fell apart.
Well, yes.
The front fell off, but I had a mansion.
Her mansion was mansioning.
She was mansioning.
It was so cute.
I had even like the powdered sugar on top. But yeah,
she slayed.
we tend to now throw events together. That's kind of our love language, was like, we love doing things together. So everything we do is now together.
Yesterday, I was like, we have to do vision boards, obviously.
We are doing vision boards, whether it be of us sitting down talking to you guys while we're doing our vision boards, which could be fun.
That would be really fun.
Or we just sit down and drink and do them together and get sappy together. We might spare you guys that one. I don't really know yet.
Yeah.
But no, I find myself reaching out to you more than really anybody besides obviously Max. Me and Max live together, so we are together 24/7. But whenever I want to do anything or I need like advice, I feel like you're the first person I go to at this point.
Me, like literally last night I had a situation and I was like, do I text her? And I was
You
like,
should have.
No, well, but here was the thing. It was just such a like fast thing that I was like, okay, I'm going to see her tomorrow and I'm just going to vent my little heart out.
Your whirlwind was whirling.
Yes, it was. I was like Dorothy in the.
You were like turbo, like turbo speed in the washer.
Exactly. I'm like, let me make sense of this before I go like crazy.
Yeah, 1,000%.
But no, you really like, honestly, like my best friend. And
I'm not gonna.
No, but like I just like someone that I know, like the good times, the bad times. Like you're just gonna be there.
Yeah.
And also,
I will write it out with you.
yes, yeah. It's so refreshing, and I'm just so thankful.
People are gonna literally comment on this and be like, "All you guys did was like hype
like,
each other."
are they the couple?
Are they dating or Max and
No.
Ryan? No, I feel like we did hype each other up a lot this episode, but this is truly like how our friendship is and like what we do and talk about 24/7.
Yeah, but also I feel like it's interesting to sit down and actually do this, because sometimes I struggle. Like it'd be weird to just be like, hey, by the way, adore you, like in the middle of like we're all out together. But I genuinely can't tell you. I think about it all the time, just like how thankful I am. And you know, I've had and we'll get into it with like friendships not going well and just like female friendships and navigating all of that. And so for the first time since having those experiences, like you brought my walls down. Like I'm just like, oh, like I can be vulnerable with someone, and like I can trust someone, and you're an incredible person.
So are you.
And I'm thankful.
I'm like, love ya.
Should we? Okay. How long have we been going? Should we do advice?
Yeah, let's get into advice, guys. We are gonna hop into this one. My phone is being blown up by people. Okay, guys, this is the section of the podcast where you guys send in y'all situations, things that are going on in your life, stories you'd like us to tell, and we can kind of pull it apart, give you advice, talk about it. A lot of the ones that I kind of screenshotted are some of the topics that we talked about, but we will kind of hop in to these a little bit more.
And just know, if obviously we're kind of just now getting into this, but we'll continue to do this, and it will always be anonymous. Like we don't have to say your name. We don't have to say any names. We just want to help.
Yeah, we want to help. We will make sure. You said you had something that you could do where they could send in things anonymously. We're gonna do that next time. Last time I just asked for people to ask me things on my story, and I think some people got nervous, and then some people just asked things that like were not even advice, like just kind of like, what should I name my dog? And I was like, that's not advice.
That's a big ask for us to.
I'm like, Bella. I don't know. Something random.
Dude, obviously.
Okay, so let's hop into this. We're going to start with a hot one.
I'm so ready.
Are you ready? Should you give up your dreams and goals for your partner?
Ooh, this is a tricky one, because I think that obviously it depends on the person and depends on the circumstances. But as a general rule, I do not think that you should ever sacrifice. Like if you're giving up all of your hopes and dreams, sacrifices happen in relationships. They do. But if you give up everything, there is going to be a resentment that grows, and that's super unhealthy.
I agree.
I don't ever want to resent Ryan.
No. And I feel like no matter what the dream is, no matter how big it is, like I think Max is definitely somebody that truly showed me that, because I never really received that. Like people that I dated in past, like questioned a lot of the things that I was doing and kind of tried to hide my shadow for a long time. And I didn't like that. I was like Taylor Swift and Bejeweled, and I was like, I love you, but I love sparkling. Like I love a little.
Amen.
I love a little sparkle. We love a little Swiftie. We're both Swifties.
Yeah, we are. We definitely.
We're both Swifties. We'll get into Travis and Taylor later in another chapter. That's a hot topic. Honestly, her birthday's coming up soon. I hope she gets engaged. But I agree. Like I would never want to compromise who I am or what I want for somebody else. And like obviously relationships are compromised, but like when it is your dream and your goal and it's something that you've worked for and wanted your whole life, like that's important. Like that goal wasn't put in your heart for a reason.
Right.
Like that goal was put in your heart for a reason. Like don't doubt that.
No, and there's a big difference between compromising on, you know, I don't know what you want to eat for dinner.
Yeah.
And like whatever else compromises come in versus like, this is something I've been aspiring to do my entire life and now I'm going to give that up. Like, no, absolutely. And vice versa. Like I would never want the person that I'm with to do that.
No, like I would, like I never want, like, especially with like, I remember people talking like, isn't it hard like dating Max with like your life being on YouTube now and like everything we do is on YouTube? And I'm like, no, because Max genuinely loves filming and like I would never want to ask him to stop doing something that he loves. That is like his escape. And like I would never want that for him. Like I've been in relationships where guys are like, my girlfriend will never be a Sports Illustrated model. Like you are not allowed to do that. Like you can't wear this, you can't do that. And like made me feel like a literal grain of sand and like that I was like not special at all. And I was like, oh my God, like maybe I shouldn't do this. Like maybe that's bad for me. And like, that's not true. Like that has been a goal of mine for so long and it's still a goal of mine. And like Max is like, do you want me to film for you? I can film your video. We can film a whole thing. And I'm like, that is true love. Like you are showing up for me in every situation.
I'm going to tell you right now, first of all, you absolutely can do that. And when you do, I'm not even going to say if, when you do, I'm going to be like the Mean Girls, like with the video camera. Like, that's my girl. Yeah, no, absolutely.
No. And I think it's important. So like, do not like, obviously like in your relationship, like there should be conversations, but if your partner is asking you to compromise your goal that you've wanted your whole life, absolutely not. You'd have to, I'd say reverse the shoe and be like, do you support them in everything? Are you there to be there for them through all their battles and what they want to do in life? And I hope that you are, but never question like what you want for somebody else. Like, trust me, because that is your goal and God put it in your heart for a reason.
Right. And you never want to get to the end of your life and think like, man, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah.
Like you never know until you try. So just go for it.
Go for it. Okay.
Number 2.
Let me take this sip on this one because this one's a little juicy juice. I don't know how to handle this one because I've never.
Oh gosh.
But I got multiple questions about this. I'm crushing hard on a coworker. Should coworkers be off limits? She's super pretty. He misspelled she's super. There's no space there, so I wasn't sure what he was asking, but he said she's super pretty.
Okay.
I don't know how to handle this.
I don't know that I've never been in that situation either.
Is it?
I feel like it depends because like,
is it against the rules?
Yeah. What's the corporate like rule? Are you allowed?
Like if you're allowed, then sure. But like, I think also like you have to remember like, this is where I'm a big pros and cons list kind of gal.
Me too.
I put everything in pros and cons. Like before I do anything, even before we did this podcast, I was like pros and cons of our podcast. I'll pull them up one day and we can read them. But I was like, in my mind, I'm like, you should definitely put out a pros and cons list to the fact that honestly, like if things go awry and like for God, like that they do, like when things just don't happen for you and you guys, like there's just drama, will you guys be okay to work together still? Will it cause issues? Will y'all be fine? God forbid everything goes great, then like fine, great, that we love that for you. Love a Jim and Pam moment.
I was literally thinking about Jim and Karen. I was like,
Karen?
Karen before Pam. She's before Pam.
Yeah.
And they end up not working out and she leaves.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, like if it works or it doesn't work, you still work with that person.
But if you're Stephen Hawley, like Max and I say that we are Stephen Hawley, like you, if that's how it's meant to be, then great. Like good. Love that for you. But if it's not, then I don't know. That's a touchy subject. I think if there's no problems and you're like, I really like her and like I that's who I see myself with, like you know.
Yeah.
Right? Like you know when you know, then like there's no problem with it. Like feel it out, but like you should be cautious. Like I think that's a conversation that has to be had at the beginning of the relationship. Like if things do go bad, if things like for God forbid that go south, like how do we manage this?
Absolutely.
How do we not make this uncomfortable? Because we are both working here. But as long as it's all in the rules with your company,
don't get fired.
Don't get fired. Don't get fired over this, please. No. I just thought that was a funny, like I had multiple people ask me that. And I was like,
yeah, I've never worked in corporate America. So
not me, not
so
me
I'm
either.
like, I've never been in a situation where I'm like, oh, that's like way. Can't do
Yeah.
that.
Okay, so here's another work situation, which we're like, oh God.
Oh no.
Mean older women at my work. I'm 30, they're like 50, and they are just nasty. They will make comments about my appearance, and I ignore and move on. But one of these days, I'm going to snap and say, what is your issue? I would like to say, what is your damage? I think at that point, again, I hate to say this, but sometimes jealousy is a fickle thing. Like, people will come at you for certain things, and like, you keep your head down and grind. Like, if I got stopped we talked about this too, like talking about podcasts, like we talked about perfectionism, but we had talked about this when you did Remington and Ryan's podcast. And you were like, just like the comments, like, I don't want to see anything mean. And like, I was like, oh girl, it comes with the territory. Like, there are
really
probably
does.
going to be people on here that are like, y'all are so stupid. Like, you shouldn't be doing this. But like, if I listened to every comment that like told me I was dumb, told me I was ugly, told me I couldn't do anything, I would not be where I am today.
So, okay, and here's my thing, not even just with comments, but just with mean, rude people in general, is that like, imagine how unhappy you have to be to bring someone else down or to say something nasty. Like, it's just, okay, here's my tip. There's this girl on TikTok that I save. She has these comments that she like posts, like, here's what to say when people are being rude without stooping to their level.
I love that.
And it's like things like, what made you think that I'm the target audience for that comment?
Yeah.
Like things like that, where it basically kind of reverse the psychology, but also understand that how someone else treats you or acts towards
It's a
you.
reflection of them.
Yes. It has absolutely nothing to do with you. She is probably an unhappy person, and we don't know. We don't know what's going on in her life. And it is sad, but don't let that affect you.
No, you really just have to like, you take it on the chin and you brush it off. Like, you just keep going, because people are going to say horrible things and people are going to be mean and going to be tacky to you, but that doesn't reflect who you are. Like, if you show up and you're like, okay, like a lot of times when I get ugly, mean comments, I'm just like, okay, thank you. Or I just don't respond and I just immediately block, and I'm like, I don't care. Like, I don't care what you say about me, because at the end of the day, nobody else's opinion matters, but like what I think of me and what God thinks of me. So like, what you have to say about me and what you say I look like and what you think of me, that you think I'm dumb or you think I'm young or you think I'm a certain way, like, that does not matter. Like, I do not care what you have to say about me. Like, I used to be such a people pleaser, I feel like.
Oh, I'm coming out of it.
I'm still that way. We talked about this. Like, I'm still that way, where I care too much about like what people think and the people around me. And I always want people around me to be happy. But when it compromises who I am and what I want and like my happiness, that's when that's a problem. And honestly, like, just focus on yourself and like, just remember, like, there's something wrong with them for them to say hateful things to you. Spread love, spread positivity, and just be happy.
Yeah. And one final thing, like, do not stoop to that level. Like, please don't.
Don't fight back.
Yeah. Like, if you,
then they win.
You know who you are. Yes. They want that reaction out of you so badly. So you just keep being you, even if it, for whatever reason, triggers this woman.
Yeah.
Just keep on going.
Honestly, like, my mom taught me this, is like, when people, like, when girls were, especially growing up, like, girls were really mean to me.
Me too.
What made them even more mad was just being kind.
Oh, they can't stand it.
Yeah. So kill them with kindness. As our girl Selena Gomez says, kill them with kindness.
Put it on blast.
Play it, like, before you get in the office. That's the song you listen to. Because honestly, like, that's truthfully it. Like, just be kind, be who you are, and be happy. Because as soon as you feed into what they want you to feed into, they've won. And that's it.
And she's only going to have more to say. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
This is fun.
I love this. Okay. Being happy in your own skin. Talk about your own struggles, if any. I think we kind of hit on this a little bit earlier too. And there were so many topics that we talked about today that I was like, oh, these are the questions that I screenshotted for us to answer. And I was like, these are literally what we talked about. But I think it's
perfect first step.
It's a perfect first step, guys. We're hitting it. But I think it's, again, just kind of honing in on who you are, because it's not so much like, who you are is not your looks. And as somebody that's done modeling and pageants, my looks will only come so far. My appearance only goes so far. I'm only going to look this way for so long, and what I'm going to have left at the end of the day is who I am as a person, how I treat people. So remember that you are a good person and you have so much more to you that makes you special. And that's the important thing. Like God made you a way like that you are. Like, I'm sorry to bring so much faith into this, but like,
no, it's perfect.
But like, it's true. Like this is like a lot that I had to deal with. Like when like really strengthening my relationship with God was like knowing that he made me a certain way for a certain reason. Like I have a purpose for a reason, and like trying to find that purpose was a really struggle, but it was trying to find that I loved myself. Like I loved who I was, and that I had power within myself to like teach other people that it's okay to love your flaws and your insecurities. And like, you're not always going to be perfect, and not every day is going to be a great day. But if you just find little happy moments, it's the little things in life that make you happy, you'll get through it all.
Absolutely. And I also think that, you know, a lot of times when we think of confidence, we think of the way that we look or the way our body is. If you can shift your focus to the things that you love about yourself that are like unshakable, like I know that I'm a good friend. I know that I have a good heart. Like
you're loyal.
Yeah. If you focus on those things, those are unshakable. They don't change unless, you know, like you change, but we know that those
are your characteristics.
Your
that's
core.
That's who you are as a person.
Right. And that won't change, and lean into that. And another thing, you know, in terms of being confident in your own skin, like the way that you look, I always tell my clients that confidence is not based on how you look, because I know so many people who are absolutely beautiful or have like the most amazing bodies and they're still insecure. And so I think personally that confidence comes from taking action.
Yeah.
Which inadvertently kind of causes, you know, physical change in your body. Right. And so I always tell my clients, focus on the action, and that is going to build your confidence so much more than if you're focusing solely on how you're looking.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, in terms of body image, I think that
Oh, 1,000%. And I think also, so I'm somebody that says that words are a really big thing. What you put out, I'm a very big manifestor believer. Like what you put out into the universe is what's going to come back to you. And I feel like words have a lot of power, and like so much power. And like the words you speak over on yourself, like I remember like I used to be like, oh my God, I'm so dumb. Oh my God, I'm so ugly. Oh my God, I'm so fat. Oh my God, this. Oh my God, that. And like, I'm like, why am I saying, like, it took me like till I was like 25 to realize, like, I'm like, why am I saying these things to myself? Like, why am I, the person that I am, speaking negatively on who I am?
The most important person in your life.
Yeah. Literally. I'm like, why am I speaking negativity onto myself? Like what I say about myself is not like, I should not be putting that out there. So I do a lot of like, how do I explain this? Like daily affirmations, I guess, where I'm like, I'm not like in the mirror, like I am pretty, I am smart. I'm just like, I am smart. I can do this. I can conquer this. Like I am capable of so much. Like I am strong. And like knowing those little things and like changing those little words that you say about yourself. Like I don't call myself dumb anymore. I don't say that I'm stupid. And like those little changes, those little differences I make, I see how that affects me now and how I am like in this good space. Because I'm like, if anybody's going to talk badly about myself, it's not going to be me.
No, because the words you speak become the house you live in.
1,000%.
They really, really do. And I know that for some people, like affirmation, like that sounds like, okay, that's not going to fix anything, but the woo woo. And it really, I get it because I used to be that way. Like that's not going to change anything, but it really does. Just as simple as if you catch yourself thinking a negative thought, like if you accidentally, because you're not going to overnight stop calling yourself, speaking negatively to yourself. But if you catch it, kind of following that up with like, no, and kind of just
I can do this.
Yeah.
And that was a huge thing I did when I competed for Miss Texas. I was like, I had a friend that like, she kind of like helped me learn this, like to speak positively to myself. And we had like a little emoji that we would send to each other. If either one of us kind of got in a bad headspace, we'd send each other a unicorn emoji. And I'd be like, what's going on? She'd tell me, and we'd talk it through, and I'd like explain to her like how she's not this certain way that she's thinking that she is, or that she's not capable of doing. And it truly makes a difference.
That's amazing. I'm gonna start sending you unicorns.
Yeah, send me a unicorn. But there's a guy that I don't know if he's not alive anymore, but his name's Dr. Wayne Dyer. And he has a podcast that I listen to, and it's all about like speaking things into fruition and speaking like positivity. Why can I speak English today? Speaking positivity onto yourself and how what you say affects everything around you. And it truly is eye-opening, and like truly has changed my mindset on a lot of things. So if you guys ever need to listen, Dr. Wayne Dyer, like he is truly
I'm gonna go
excellent.
listen.
Oh my
because
God, you would love it.
I'm here for it. I'm about that stuff. And I'm always like, I know it sounds woo woo, but
It's not woo woo. I love it. I live for this world. Okay, let's see what other questions we have. Getting out of being self-conscious after being in a 7-year relationship. Take it day by day, sister.
oh gosh, my heart is with you because I've been in a very long relationship, and I mean, if it ended today, it would take some.
It would take time.
Yeah.
But like, here's the thing. This is like out of all my friends that have like been like, even myself, and this is something I had to learn. Like I went through a really tough breakup and like was with that person for a while. Take it day by day. The pyramids were not built in a day, you know? So take it day by day. Feel the feelings.
Oh my.
Feel the pain.
I want to scream this from a rooftop.
Yeah. Feel the pain. Cry it out. Let you like be upset. Your feelings are valid 1,000,000,000%. Like feel it all and feel it whole. Like because if you hold that in and you just try to brush it off and get to the side, it will catch up to you sooner or later.
You're going to feel it whether it's right now or 6 years from now. Yeah.
6 years from now and you're like, oh my God. And like, I feel like if I didn't allow that pain to like escape and like let go of it, I would have held it in and like kind of PTSD'd and like used that towards my other relationships.
Well, and right, it'll spill over.
Yeah.
It'll spill over, and like the feelings that you have right now, you might take out on someone that's really great for you, and you don't want to do that at all.
Yeah.
But also, I like let one good day or one bad day be what it is, and also lean into like who were you before this relationship? And I realize that 7 years is a really long time, but like try to get back to yourself. And I know that for a lot of people, it's scary to go on like self dates, like by yourself.
Start doing things
oh my
for
gosh,
yourself.
Do it. Please do it.
1,000%. And I mean, I dealt with this quite a bit when like going to that last relationship, and I like questioned a lot about who I was. And because all I heard was like these negative thoughts about me and like what I wasn't supposed to do and how I should be acting and how I should be. And like, I thought I was like I'm the same way that I am now, but I like hated myself kind of in a way where I was like, oh, like I'm not worthy. Like this person like is the only person that's ever going to love me. Like I am too much. I ask for too much. I am too emotional. Like I have too many feelings. I have too many thoughts. I'm too prideful when it comes to the things that I want to accomplish. And I should be sitting down and just being more supportive. And like, I lost all sense of myself, where that's like not who I was before that relationship. I was somebody that was very goal driven. I wanted to do so much. I wanted to conquer so much. And I kind of sat back and took the back seat and was like, it's your world. You drive. Like I'm here. I'm here to support you. And like I lost all sense of myself, and like get back to that girl. Get back to
it'll take time.
It will take time. And it was not an easy process. Like I did a lot of soul searching. I did a lot of faith and like a lot of journal prompts to kind of get back to where I wanted to be, like to find out what I wanted in my life. And it honestly like took me being very raw, emotional, and vulnerable to be okay with just me.
1,000%. And I think that, obviously like therapy can be really great.
Yeah.
One of my
Therapy's
favorite
the
things
best.
about when I used to be in therapy, and maybe this could apply here, is she said, make a list of just one word, like who, like the dream ideal version of yourself, like make that bulleted list, don't overthink it. And then start doing those things gradually, and you'll just become the person that you were or want to be. And that could really apply here, I think.
I agree. I love that.
It's like, and also, because one of my things, I remember this session, so I was like, she always does this, or she never, and she was like, no. Like, you'll still mess up, you'll still make mistakes. But that was really helpful for me.
1,000%. Okay, so these two kind of can't go, let me see, hold on. Let me see. Okay, these kind of go hand in hand here. So this one says, doing something your parents don't agree with, and then how to be unapologetically yourself without feeling guilty for not pleasing people. These are all things that I still struggle with. We're both working on this. With doing things my parents don't agree with, at the end of the day, like obviously I want my parents to be happy in me, and they are happy with everything I do. But my favorite line that my mom taught me is, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
The fact that my mom used to say that all the time.
She like instilled this in me, like especially like when I was Miss Texas. It was like because a lot of the things I did was like kind of controlled because it's obviously a business. But there were things that I was like, no, this is what's right. This is what I need to do, especially when it came to like political matters and needing to speak out on it because you are a political figure at that point. I asked for forgiveness later. And I just did what I needed to do because I knew that's what was right for me and that's what I needed and wanted at that time.
I feel like, okay, was it specifically parents?
So one was parents, and then the one said how to be unapologetically yourself without feeling guilty for not pleasing people. I feel like those go hand in hand.
I really struggle with the second because I am a people pleaser. But what I can say is that I dropped out of college when I was almost done. Like I literally was about to be a nurse. And I decided that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And instead of finishing my nursing degree, I just was like, this is a waste of money. And my dad and I, first of all, we were always so close. I've always been incredibly close with my dad. And that absolutely derailed our relationship for a little while because my dad was like, what are you doing? And I remember telling him like, I can't prove it right now, but eventually I'll show you that like I can do this.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it. I went home the first Christmas that we lived down here and we went to dinner and my dad hugged me and whispered in my ear and said, you really proved me wrong. And at that moment I was like, okay, see, like I just needed time to show you. And you have to get really, really comfortable with your parents probably aren't going to agree with everything that you do. And they want what's best for you. It's not because they don't love you. It's because they love you. But you sometimes just kind of have to prove people wrong and believe in yourself so much.
Yeah.
That like, I knew that eventually it was going to be okay. And it is now, but
they're so protective over you that they have you in this like kind of bubble. And like, this is something that like my mom and I kind of dealt with for a little bit too, because my mom is like, I don't want to say my mother's favorite, but I am the baby of the family. And so she is extremely protective over me and her and I are so close. And like some people have done me very dirty in my life in pageants and just in the world.
I was going to say same, girl.
I'm like in the world that I'm in. And she says that I forgive people too easily and that I'm too nice. And yes, I do forgive people too easily. And I am too nice a lot of times, but that's who I am. And that's never going to change, unfortunately. But you have to realize, I feel like, that if people do you wrong, like they've shown you your true colors, now you take it and you know, you can forgive them for what they've done, but always just be aware that like they have done you dirty.
Well, and I do think that like in certain circumstances, you know, people can change and stuff, but I would certainly take into account what they did. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's like, yeah, take that because I'm the
like
queen.
take that one with the grain of salt.
But I'm the queen of multiple chances. So
yeah.
Until I'm not.
Until you prove me wrong. Yeah. Until it's like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, shame on both of us.
Yeah, I guess 5 times.
5 times, I'm like, who's at fault now? How do we count at this point?
Like second chances, 300.
Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, like, especially like trying to be unapologetically yourself, you need to do what makes you happy. I'm like, let's go into this TED Talk. This is your one chance to live. Like, this is your one shot. Why would you compromise what you want in this world for not anything, but like, I think like at the end of the day, like my family, my friends, like if there's things that I wanted to do, like they will be there behind me to support me throughout everything. And honestly, if like the person's like questioning like what you want to do as like a friend, maybe out of jealousy, out of anything, like that's not a friend.
No, it's not. And also, because I know that a lot of times people pleasing comes from the standpoint of like, they won't like me if I'm not like benefiting them or like making them happy. Then it's not your friend. Like your friend is going to have your back regardless of anything. Like their decisions should not, or your decisions should not impact them so much that they're not your friend anymore. I always say, do whatever the F you want. I won't say the F word, but do whatever
you can cuss on this podcast.
Do whatever the fuck you want. Just don't hurt people.
Yes,
just don't hurt people.
Just be kind.
Yeah. Yes,
be kind. Like literally, be kind to one another, and
it's that simple. Yeah,
it's be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and that's all that matters.
It's like growing a muscle. It takes time, but start
being kind.
Learn to say no.
Learn to say no and protect yourself.
That was beautiful.
I cannot, like, unlike Sydney, I cannot sing, guys.
I
think I can, but.
No, that was actually good.
Guys, I think I'm going to get Sydney to bring her guitar for the Christmas episode and sing me a little Christmas jingle.
A Christmas little
Just
jingle
give me a
bell.
little Christmas jingle.
We'll bring the boys in and like everyone will have an instrument. We'll put Ryan on the triangle or something.
I'm on the tambourine.
Yeah, perfect.
Max is the drums.
Perfect.
He actually used to play the drums, so that's funny.
Did he really?
Yeah. He tried to learn the piano, but that did not.
I very recently was like, I want to go to the Guitar Center and get a keyboard.
A keyboard?
I can't get a whole grand piano.
I love that.
Eventually I'll get there. But
One day.
I was listening to Champagne Problems and I was like, I would love to.
I think I would cry if you played me the piano. Can you learn the piano for my wedding?
Absolutely, I will.
Oh, hell's
First of all,
will you play a song for my
challenge
wedding?
accepted. If you want me to, I will absolutely do it. I used to do cocktail hours at weddings. No pressure. I'm not
going to ask you to do cocktail hour, but I do want you to sing something.
I'll sing something.
We'll come up with something. Obviously, it has to be Taylor Swift.
I'm there. If you want me to do it, I will make it happen. I'll fly Taylor in herself. Can you imagine?
I would literally. I've met Taylor Swift once in my life, and I was really young. And the photo is the most embarrassing photo of me ever because I literally.
Do you have it? Can you put it on the screen? Max, can we put this on the screen?
I'm like, no. I literally was like 7 or 8 years old and I had just gotten done from swim team practice. And I had my hair was like greased over because I just came out of the pool.
Wait, did you go to a concert?
Yeah. And I met Taylor Swift and she signed my jeans.
Was it the Fearless tour?
No, It was before that. It was when she was touring with Kenny Chesney.
Holy moly. Okay. I went to the Fearless tour
Tim McGraw,
here.
One or the other. Yeah.
I think it was Tim McGraw.
Tim McGraw. She was with Tim McGraw.
The one that was at the Toyota Center. That's a movie now.
Reputation? Or is it Fearless?
No, I think it was Fearless. That's a debate between Ryan and I. He's like, I think you're lying. I'm in it. My mom, my sister, and I. And
I'm going to have to go search this now. We're going to go sit and watch.
It's so embarrassing because when it came out, we were in school and people were texting us like, hey, you're in this movie. And we're
now,
just like,
now you're in the back of Matt Rife's video for
oh God, that was devastating.
Comedy. Oh my God. We went to a comedy show and literally in the back of this video is Sydney. And I'm like, Sid, I'm like screenshot.
Taylor's sending me pictures on the big screen.
Oh my God, you guys need to smile. You'll look sad.
I was so embarrassed because I had no idea.
Yeah.
The moment I realized I was on the big screen, I was
y'all
like,
were all on the big screen. It
pull
was
yourself
the
together.
Funniest thing. That was just a messy night.
That was a fun night.
It was a fun night. It was a good time. Okay, we have one more question.
Yes.
This question. Are you ready? Da-da-da-da-da. Okay. How to get over a best friend breakup. I think we're going to have to save that for the next episode.
Definitely.
Okay, guys.
We will hit that episode too. Thanks for hanging with us. If you made it this far.
Yeah, if you guys made it this far, I don't really know how long this was. I didn't keep track. I really should have, but I didn't. But thanks for hanging out.
This was a blast.
This is a good time. I know we were kind of all over the place. We were obviously very emotional. We are 2 cancers. It's just going to happen. But thank you guys for joining in with us. Thanks for listening.
Seriously. And if you have anything that you want us to cover.
Yeah. If you guys have any, please.
Send us a message. And as far as the advice goes, what we'll do is I'm going to set up either a Google form or a type form so that you can submit fully anonymous. We'll never know who you are. And
give you guys, we can give you advice on literally anything. Do not be afraid to share your stories with us. We will keep everything anonymous, obviously. But guys, this was so fun. This was episode number 1 with the Girls Social. We did it.
We did it.
We did it. And guys, this is just the beginning. I hope you guys loved it. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you guys subscribe, follow, leave us a review. Obviously, give us 5 stars, please. This is new for us. We're a little nervy, but we're going to be back next week with another episode talking all about ex-best friends and ex-relationships and how to get over it.
It's going to be a good one. So don't miss it.
Cheers to the social girls.
I'm so proud of us.
I love us. We did it! Woo! I don't know how to stop this.
You better talk nice to me. I'm in your head. I invest. That's a short-term fee. Got it locked. I'm the best. Well, at least that's what I think. Give me props when I rap. If you want.